Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe Muro. And now, here's Zoe.
Yeah, seriously, there he is. Hi, folks. How are you? Welcome to the New Thought Media Network, and welcome to what I hope is going to be a technically lenient session. Every now and then, been having some problems with my internet, so I'm hoping that everything stays up to date. Okay, that's the affirmation. It will be fine. So, my name is Zoe Muro, and I am delighted and honored to be your host for Choice, Your Creative Superpower. Come to you each week from Oakland, California, Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 noon Mountain Time. We are here to explore how you can wield your superpower for the greatest good and co-create a life experience that is most fulfilling. If you're coming back, it's great to see you here again. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, Wayne. Yeah, I think I'm ready for this. How about you? Good to see you, my friend. Okay, so I'm a religious science practitioner here with the New Thought Media Network. I'm also a transformational coach. Both my ministry as a practitioner and my mission as a coach are to help people to live their lives to the fullest. Today, episode 55, we're going to be continuing our exploration of the relationship between choice and memory, which we started last week. Oh, hello, Bonnie. Oh, if you're going to call me young man, thank you so very, very much. And thank you for affirming my technical superiority today. For those of you who don't know, Bonnie Gonzalez is also known as your doula for grief. She has a show on Mondays at 12 noon Mountain Time, I believe it is, or it could be 1 p.m. Anyway, you can go to ntmedia.org and you can find all of the information about all of the shows that we offer. I'll talk more about that later. Okay, so choice and memory. Now, if you didn't see last week's show, I'd recommend that you do so, possibly even before you watch this episode, so that you can get the full picture about memory. Before we get started, though, I do want to mention, as I mentioned last week, that a discussion of difficult memories can be triggering for many people. So if you have any concerns, please do what you need to feel safe and supported. If need be, you can always return to this recording when you feel more comfortable doing so. But please know that support is available to you. And last week, I showed a couple of ways that you can get support. I'm going to do that again today. So you can contact NAMI, and you can either call them, you can email them, you can text, you can chat. Okay. Or there's the 988 number. And again, you can call that number or you can chat with that number. You're always welcome to contact me, of course. Let me give you my email address. There's my email address, zodimuro@gmail.com. Okay. But the point of all of this is, if you need help, by all means, please reach out for that help. No one needs to do this type of work alone. Okay? All right. Now, last week we spoke primarily about how our memories affect our choices. This week, I want to spend more time looking at how our choices affect our memories, which might sound a bit odd. I mean, it's a memory, right? But it's actually quite interesting and it can prove to be very eye-opening. So I want to quickly review just a couple of things from last week. Some basic categories of memory. Now, we're familiar with short-term and long-term. Okay. The thing about short-term and long-term is that we decide with an internal process whether something needs to be retained for a short time or if it needs to be preserved. And we'll see as we go through this that there are ways that we can affect this. And I also want you to be very clear that there are both explicit and implicit memories. Explicit meaning that you consciously recall it, implicit meaning that without even thinking about it, it filters into your consciousness and it affects your choices. Okay, now let me get rid of that. So we're going to see that while memories do fit into these broad categories, there are definitely ways in which our choices are going to affect how that internal mechanism works and how it determines which memories are of greater importance, which are really just momentary use, and which are absolutely keepers. And for any of those categories, where the material comes from, the information that the memory is created from, well, that generally fits into one or more of these types. Let me get this here. Okay. So it could be something that's specific to a given event. It could be a matter of how we correlate facts and concepts. It could be procedural. And this is something that is very common. How to do things, whether we're talking about how to calculate something in our mind or how to physically do something with our hands. Okay. We tend not to even think about those very often. I mean, you pick up a pen. You don't think, I'm picking up this pen, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's all in your memory. Short term, as we spoke of. Working is the same as short term, except that as it is sitting there, you're doing something with it, maybe calculating something or maybe considering doing some discernment. Sensory, extremely important. Many of the things that we experience when we experience memories are associated with a sensory experience. And sounds, absolutely. But you know, it's interesting. As much as skin sensations, what we feel in our body, is definitely a strong trigger for our memory. So are smells. Okay. Something that you might not think of. And then we have perspective. Perspective is that we recall an intention from the past so that we can do something in the future. Sort of like a mental to-do list, if you will. Now, while I pointed out last week that it's important to understand that there is a constant flow of stimuli that our brain addresses and uses to create a memory, it's equally important to understand how our memories are consciously and unconsciously affected. For example, they're both consciously and unconsciously affected by what we remember, why we remember it, and how the retention of a memory is influenced. Okay. So, with all the types and categories of memory that I mentioned, let's get really basic and say that there are memories we enjoy, there are others we do not. And there are still others that we would love to just erase from our minds completely. But here's the thing, folks, there's value in all of them. I know, I know, believe me, some of you, myself included, have memories which are so harsh, so painful, that it seems nearly impossible to find any benefit in remembering them. But here's the thing, there's a reason that we have retained them. There is a reason we have retained them. We don't seem to have a choice. I mean, we can't simply decide to forget them. You know, we can't have them erased like in that movie, The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But here's the thing, folks, we do have a choice. The choice that we have is that we can choose to understand what these memories need us to know. They're messengers, right? We're holding on to this information, right? So understanding that and then being able to use that knowledge to inform our choices going forward becomes extremely important. You know, I spoke earlier of conscious and unconscious use of memories. It's not uncommon for those most painful memories to be operating in our life without our even realizing it. We might not have a direct recollection at all, but the memories remain. Exploring those memories that one would rather forget can provide a great advantage, right? The advantage is in understanding the why in one's life. We often think about the how and the what, but the why can become really important, especially in terms of our healing. You know, and it's not that I didn't do my damnedest, folks, to avoid holding on to painful events and circumstances. You know, when I was an active alcoholic and drug addict, I used substances to dull pain, to remove inhibitions, to literally avoid reality. But all it did was disrupt my normal mental processes. And I would lose hours, days. I literally lost months of time with literally no memory of what happened to me or what happened because of me. You know, looking back at that time in my life, what a terrifying scenario that is. I remember, oh God, I remember so many times after what is referred to as blackout drinking, or after coming down from the high of drugs that were always present in my life. I would wonder if the police were going to show up at my door and haul me off to jail. I choose today, very consciously and very deliberately, to remember those days, to remember those feelings, to remember that absolute dread and even shame, not to punish myself, not to put myself down, but because they provide a cautionary tale that I have no desire to repeat. And it's important to know that how I process the memories, okay, how I process the memories of those days actually changed for me. You know, I do associate the emotional charge of fear and the feeling of shame with the memories, but I don't feel that fear, nor do I feel that shame. But it takes a conscious choice to do so. And frankly, it took a lot of work to be able to get to that point. Now, this brings up several important considerations regarding how choice can affect memories, and therefore how those memories will then affect our choices going forward. In this particular case, remembering the effects of my addictions, my memory process notes the attention and energy that follows these memories, and they're marked, if you will, as being priority items readily available for my recall. Likewise, as I associate my sobriety with the good in my life and my addictive behavior with pain and suffering, my memory process attaches the appropriate emotions to those memories. So this can work. This can work for me, or it could work against me, depending on how I choose and how I am capable of working with those memories. So please understand that every time I say choose to work with the memories, it's a matter also of ability. If you find that you want to do that, but you don't know how to go about doing that, that's where help comes in. Whether you are looking at counseling or therapy, workshops, whatever it might be. Okay. That can help you get to that place of ability. But having the desire, having the understanding of how important it is to do that, that comes first. So what I mean when I talk about feelings of shame and fear, all right, if I recall these memories and I continually bring up those feelings and I do nothing to counteract them with the reality of my present life, okay? I'm not saying that I'm ignoring that those things happen. I'm not saying, oh, that wasn't painful or that wasn't fearful or whatever it might have been. No, what I'm saying is, here I am today, okay? So if I don't do anything to counteract those feelings with the reality of my present life, not to mention the majority of my last 4 decades that I've been clean and sober, it would be easy to slip into a depressive state. Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith famously said, "Pain pushes until the vision pulls." And this is absolutely applicable to how we can choose to use our memories. While the memory of the pain of addictive behavior was an important motivator for me in my early days of sobriety, it was and is the vision of a better life, a good life that provides the fuel for sustaining and expanding my good and the memories that I have made in doing so. Remember, I spoke about how important it is to see the associations that we make with a memory. Well, as I create these good memories and I realize the joy that being able to have an addiction-free life brings me, that sets up those memories with the tremendous capability of recall. And that absolutely feeds my desire to remain sober, to remain clean. This brings in another way that our memory processes work. Because continual sobriety is a choice that I made, and well, technically it's a choice I make each and every day. However, unconsciously, most of the time, it was a choice that I made rather than a choice that was made for me. Memories that we make of, I'm going to try that again. The memories that come from the choices that we make ourselves are stored with a greater priority And as I said earlier, the greater the priority, the easier to recall. So if you are trying to affect change in your life, find ways that you see it as your change, not something that's being inflicted upon you. If you look at it that way, it has a tendency to feel less important. Okay. One of the most frustrating things about my no longer trying to anesthetize myself with alcohol and drugs was the realization that now memories that I had tried to lock away, they were coming to the forefront of my consciousness. The most potent of those memories had to do with the abuse that I suffered as a child. I remember being in a therapy session and speaking of a dream and daydream that I experienced over and over, in which I faced this huge wooden door. It had these thick metal bands on it, and I just knew something terrible was behind that door, but I couldn't bring myself to open it. Couldn't bring myself to look, to go inside. I always knew those memories were there. But now I was ready to address them. Well, I wouldn't say that I felt ready to, but I truly believe that my mind did what it could to protect me until I was strong enough to face them. And having that strength, that does not mean that I did this alone. Absolutely not. It meant that I was strong enough to ask for help, which came in the form for me of therapy, counseling, and support groups. I learned that choosing to work with those memories successfully meant I needed to be able to put the memories into perspective, recognizing they were not my present situation, nor did they have the power to hurt me. But I had to choose that understanding. Okay. I had to choose to request help. And I had to choose to work with the support that I found. I chose not to deny the reality of the past that these memories brought to me, but to affirm that there was a better life for me that I could consciously build step by step, day by day. And once I threw open that door, I never had that dream or daydream again. It took quite a while to work through those memories, but doing so brought a freedom that I never realized I had available to me. Not all work with memories is painful. Many of the memories that we hold are wondrous. And when we are feeling low, when we are really feeling that things are just so challenging, it really does help to remember successes. It doesn't mean that it changes the difficulty, but it means that it affirms that we have strength. It affirms that we have power. It affirms that we have the grace of the one working within us to help us move forward. And for me, the freedom that came from working through these various memories was it brought a sense of compassion and even a sense of peace, which had eluded me for many years. It gave me the ability to grow beyond even what sobriety brought to my life. And it has allowed me to create new memories of overcoming adversity, memories of moving through the fear to a place of confidence, and allowing me to create a vision for a vastly more abundant life. Hmm. Yeah, it is a very, very important process. And I'm glad that you are on this part of your healing journey, Shay. Oh, since I'm here, hello, Garrett. Good to see you, my friend. Okay, so our memories. Our memories hold aspects of our experiences, our hopes, our fears. They also even hold aspects of our identity. They can serve us, providing invaluable knowledge. And they can hold a record of much we would prefer not to re-experience. We don't always know that a memory is informing our thoughts or actions, but we always have the choice to explore how and why we act or react to circumstances, events, and people. With the understanding that our memories are neither infallible nor unchanging, we can choose to be guided by them, but not controlled by them. Whether we consciously searched for them or they appeared unbidden, whether they were pleasant or not. You know, if you haven't watched the episode that we did on the stories we tell, I was way back in episode 4. I'd suggest you take a look. Consider how invested we can be in the stories that we repeatedly tell, which are, of course, from our memories, right? And how they can become a limitation if we won't allow ourselves to choose to consider them in a different light from the vantage point of not only the present time, but also the vantage point of what we have learned about ourselves, what we have learned about life, what we have gained in terms of our ability and our knowledge. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, as we have taken steps along our spiritual path. When I speak of support, when I speak of that guidance and that grace, there is the ultimate support, the ultimate grace, the ultimate guidance, which is from the one, from loving spirit. Always, always remember that you are connected at all times to the one. You are connected at all times to that source of love and grace and compassion. Allow yourself to be open to that. Okay? Allow yourself to be open to that. And folks, I'll invite you to explore all of your memories. Revel in those memories that bring you joy, as well as working through those which are challenging. Being sure to get whatever support you might need, but always, always holding yourself in compassion and love as you continue to work towards your greatest good. You're very welcome, Gary. Well, that's going to do it for today, folks. If there is an aspect of choice and memory that you'd like to explore, by all means, let me know. You can send me an email at zodemuro@gmail.com. Pick that up again. Get rid of this. All right. Anything that you share with me is always in complete confidence. If there's something about choice and memory that I didn't discuss that you want to discuss, that you would like to see me cover, let me know. But you have to let me know quickly, because if I'm going to do a third episode, I would like to do it next week. Otherwise, I'll be moving on to a new topic. And I'm always interested in hearing what topics relating to choice that you would suggest. All right? Because what we're doing here, folks, is we are learning from one another. We are looking at what we understand. We are looking at what we need to understand. Now, it was wonderful spending time with you this week. And I want you to give yourself a gift, the gift of exploration at ntmedia.org. There's so much going on there. For example, today, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Finding the Joy in the Journey with the delightful Reverend Gina Calvario-Krupka. Her special guest is Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano. 2 p.m., Vibrant Living Hour with Practitioner Ken Ludwig. 4 p.m., these are all Mountain Time, Reverend Brock Ford presents his spiritual toolkit. If you haven't seen Reverend Brock, you got to check him out. Really enjoy his show. And I want you to know that it is our mission to bring the joy of New Thought to the widest audience possible. But to present all of this, we need your support. So please spread the word about the New Thought Media Network. Right? Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone who is a seeker on their spiritual path, and even those who are thinking about a spiritual journey but don't know where to start. New Thought Media Network, we have so much going on. And while you're at it, if you can, ntmedia.org/donate can help us make this a world that works for everyone. So I certainly look forward to seeing you again next week. And I trust that until we meet again, you will choose wisely, you will choose well. Much love and many, many blessings. Namaste.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe DeMuro.